each tournament.
And that's kind of like we were saying earlier against Parento.
Point.
It can either be a little bit of pressure because you're on center court against someone like Jorja Johnson,
1-0.
you know, your first round out, or it could be zero pressure and you could play loose and amazing.
Side out.
And I think we're going to see in the first few points, does she have some nerves to kind of shake off and get through?
0-1. Side out.
And those are the kind of shots, you know, she missed that volley right there, but that approach I love seeing from Jorja Johnson. She really gets high on
1-0.
top of that ball and just gets it down very, very quickly.
Point.
And you just think how much taller Jorja is,
2-0.
honestly, than she was a couple of years ago, which is only going to help her singles game.
Side out.
Couple of gifts to start this one.
Yeah, on both sides, for sure.
Winner of this one will face Mari Humberg, friend of Jorja Johnson's.
Absolutely.
0-2.
Which, again, someone, Mari, not a huge singles player, but playing Major League Pickleball, you're going to end up playing singles at some point. So, again, we talk about a draw where some players maybe are not
Point.
necessarily always, you know, looking to get far in the singles draw, but definitely getting the
1-2.
practice of the singles draw.
Side out. Two, one.
And just
Point.
a lot of errors right out the gate.
3-1.
Nice angle from
Side
Jorja
out.
Johnson. Cornered that shot early. And how many times have we seen those kind of winners in doubles as well?
I mean,
So impressive.
super clean. And what I very much love about the Johnson
1-3.
style of play is how compact their backswings are. And a little
Point.
luck going that way, but again, just these first few points, both players kind of getting loose and warm. First day for Jorja Johnson.
2-3. Point. Three.
And just super
Point.
clean. Two-handed backhand, just a little smoother coming from Jorja Johnson.
Four, three.
You know, there's
Side
that
out.
ball again. Georgia's hitting it a little bit shorter on, I want to make sure I'm saying the name
3-4.
correct. Rives Palau?
Rives.
And so she's really reaching under that ball, which
Side out.
we don't want to be bending over to hit a ball down at her toes for sure. I'd like to see her approaching in on those shots, but she is not kind of
4-3.
taking the bait on the short balls.
Side out. 3-4.
And
Nice.
there
Side
it is
out.
again. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier, that tendency when players come in, especially from tennis, is when they approach, they want to kind of
Video. Can
be
we turn the
into the
video
middle
board
of the
brightness
court.
down just a little bit?
A player like Jorja, who's been around a
you.
little while, is going to find that space behind her very quickly.
Here we go.
Fadeaway
4-3.
drop to the opposite corner of the kitchen. That's an impressive shot that is not easy, but she makes it look so.
Point.
Punch volley will do it too for Jorja Johnson. Adds another point on her side.
Five, 3.
I
Side
love
out.
that changeup, though. I love seeing more lobs, for sure. I know I try to do it a little bit more on the court, but Georgia's not afraid to
3-5.
utilize that shot in singles or in doubles. A lot of players are just uncomfortable hitting a lob out there.
Point.
Now, that's a great approach coming from this side of the court. A lot of power.
Four, 5.
And just clean
Side out.
volleys from Jorja Johnson.
Jorja Johnson has an
Timeout
interesting
receiver,
road here
5-4.
too with the bracket. Could run into Annalie Waters in the round of 6.
A Zebra, I believe it is. It's a brand that you
Time
see
in.
Spain, and the
5-4.
UK is where I've been seeing it. But I'm trying to figure out, I don't know if the paddle is the same. And that's
Wow.
that
Point.
powerful high ball coming from Jorja Johnson. A player that, again, we talk about the ability to change up speeds and spins. I think that's really one of Jorja Johnson's best assets she has.
6, 4.
Nice.
Beautiful passing
Side
shot
out.
coming from that side of the court. And mind you, that's kind of like I was saying earlier. So you see Georgia approaching the net. She's coming up more about the angle of
4,
the ball.
6.
She's not really coming to the center of the court, which a lot of tennis players do. That's one of those transitions coming in from tennis into pickleball, is that approach in singles.
5, 6.
Just a little bit of overshot.
Side out.
I mean, it's a tight first game, and it's not necessarily that either player is playing great or bad. It's I
6-5.
think just getting a little bit warmer into this. But I do feel like Jorja Johnson might start to break away
Side out.
pretty soon here. You asked earlier about
5, 6.
a lot of how we're going to see this sport grow. I think that's one of those things, these different brands. We've been kind of consistently seeing these big brands for quite some time. When I go to a lot of other countries, I
Side
very
out.
rarely see the brands that we play with. I see, you know, paddles that are made, because that's an issue in a lot of other countries. They simply can't get paddles and balls the way we can. So you see a lot of varieties. You
6,
see
5.
some different types of paddles. So, you know, we say now how many paddles we have out there, and it's actually way more than people think, because we just don't see a lot of
Point.
those here that we would in other countries.
Seven, 5. Point.
Pretty stuff from Jorja Johnson. Gracefully approaches. Generates that heavy topspin to the corner. Makes it a 3-point gap. Game 1.
8, 5.
First ever meeting between these two.
Point.
And there's that little bit of a breakaway now,
9-5.
4-point difference, where it's been about a 1-point spread the rest of this game. Now there's also that
Side
difference
out.
we saw earlier in the Parento match that I was talking about, whereas Parento really loads through the ball really well. So does Jorja Johnson here. So we're seeing that from Rives, that she gets a
5-9.
little bit too open on some of these balls, playing a little bit more defense, where she doesn't always get the weight transfer that she needs, like Jorja Johnson is able to get under her legs.
Jorja searching for a game point
9-5.
here.
Side out. Five, 9. Side out.
Just a overhit on that serve. I like that she's going for it a little bit more, though. I'd rather her miss some of these shots, doing the right thing. Take your chances while you've got it.
9-5.
And just
Side
there's
out.
that, again, change up of kind of a slider serve from Jorja Johnson going wide.
5-9.
Just
Side
again,
out.
that shorter ball that Georgia's kind of asking Rives to come forward so she can
9-5.
dominate that point, but gets the error on the approach.
Point.
Patient points for
Game
Jorja
point.
Johnson. Earns what she wanted, back to the line with game point.
10-5.
And there it is,
Point.
an
Game
error
11-5. Change end.
off that serve, giving Jorja Johnson the first game.
And we'll flip ends and head on to game 2 as second outing as a pro in terms of the PPA events.
Side out. Zero, 0. Side out.
Couple of unforced errors to start as well. That was the theme in game 1.
0, 0.
Nice.
Point.
Having just so much power coming off that forehand from Jorja Johnson.
Great movement, too, from Jorja Johnson. Look at the footwork. Moving laterally
1-0.
left to right.
And that's the, there's that ability for her to turn and move forward when she's moving laterally, whereas Rives is kind of a little bit too open when she's moving
2-0.
laterally and is not always able to get in a better position to strike the ball. Yeah, and there that is
Point.
again. You see how Georgia's turning her toes, getting her hips to go into those positions, whereas Rives is kind of opening up the body a little bit and
3,
kind
0.
of makes it a little bit slower to get to that ball.
Point. Timeout receiver.
And
4,
then
0.
there it is again. I just think that she's not getting.
For action, including Jorja Johnson.
I mean, you're always going to enjoy a match where Jorja Johnson is playing. I mean, just
Point.
clean movement. 18 years old, a lot of experience on the court.
Yeah, may not sound experienced, but has been around the game a long time. Trains with her mother, Julie Johnson, a
5-0.
top senior pro. Her brother, J.W. Johnson, one of the winningest pros on tour as well.
Side
A
out.
bit of a dynasty in that family. They've got some great play around their area.
0-5.
A lot of players moving to that part of Florida as well, so that they are able to improve themselves as well.
Point.
We talk about all these pros coming in, giving it a
1-5.
shot, and that area of Florida is a top spot that players are looking to move.
Side out. 5-1. Side out. 1-5. Point.
On the board and building.
2-5. Side out. 5-2.
Nice punch volley for Jorja Johnson. Read it well, set herself up beautifully.
And this is what I like to see is that most of the time when she's approaching, she's kind of going shorter, a little bit wider. So what it's doing to Rives is getting her to pop up the ball a little bit when she's on the run trying to get that ball back.
Side out.
And just jammed herself just a tiny bit. Not a ball that Jorja will miss a ton.
2-6. Side out.
That's a ball Rives didn't even seem to move for. Just a ridiculous passing shot. Really after a great approach shot from Rives as well.
6-2. Point.
And we've got our first point on the board in this second game. Or no, sorry, after this timeout there. I don't know why I'm looking at the wrong scoreboard here for a second.
7-2. Point.
Big 8-2 lead for Jorja Johnson with Rives trying to compose herself just a little bit.
8-2.
I mean,
Point.
huge serve into that backhand side.
9-2.
Just a
Side
little
out.
bit late on that preparation from Jorja Johnson.
2-9.
Nice approach, but it's out of reach, and a foot fault was
Side
called
out.
regardless.
And
by
there's that
Paula Rives.
same ball again that Jorja is going behind Rives
I
when
got it.
she's approaching the net, and that's again experience. You're talking about a player who is fairly new to the tour, singles movement slightly different than tennis, so
9-2.
getting some of that adjustment time coming in. And just
Point.
a miss hit off that
Match
ball.
point.
Again, just a little bit too open with the body. So
10-2.
Match point for Jorja Johnson.
I mean,
Point.
just
Game.
huge
Match
return from
11-2.
Rives, but Johnson has no problem with that and closes up this match pretty confidently.
Closes it up and closes it out on her way to the round of 32 for a date with her buddy, Mari